Hi guys, Miss Malik here, and today we are going to be looking at multiplying matrices. The first thing we want to do is to remind ourselves about the dimensions of matrices. So when we have something like this and we want to label the dimensions, we say the number of rows times the number of columns. Seeing that there are two rows, remembering that the rows go horizontally and the columns go vertically, there are also two columns. We call this a 2 by 2 matrix. Here we've got a 2 by 3 matrix, a 2 by 4 matrix, a 3 by 3 matrix, a 3 by 1 matrix, a 3 by 2 matrix, a 1 by 3 matrix. So it's good to remember that the matrix dimensions are stated as the rows times the columns. Now, we have a little bit of a rule with multiplying matrices, and this is that we can only multiply if the columns in A equal the rows in B. So let's have a look at this one here. Just say we've got this 1, 0, 0, 3 matrix times 1, negative 2 matrix. Let's check. Can we multiply it? The columns in A, there are two columns. The rows in B, there are two rows. Can we multiply? Yes, we can. Let's look at this one here. We have 3 columns and 2 rows. Do the number of columns in A equal the number of rows in B? No, they don't. So can we multiply? No, we can't. So make sure you remember that in order to multiply matrices, the columns in matrix A must equal the rows in matrix B. It's important that you count the columns in A and the rows in B. Otherwise, you cannot multiply them. Let's multiply some matrices. Here we have a 2 by 2 matrix, and we want to multiply it by a 2 by 1 matrix here. What we do in order to do this, we have to multiply the rows by the columns. So we always multiply row by column. I have highlighted the first row in yellow. I'm going to multiply that by the column. There is only one column. So I say 1 times 1 is 1, plus 0 times negative 2 is 0. So 1 plus 0 is 1. I put that in the top. Highlighted in blue here is the second row. I say 0 times 1 plus 3 times negative 2. 0 times 1 is 0. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So that gives me negative 6, which goes in the bottom there. Let's try one more. This one's a little bit harder because we multiply two 2 by 2 matrices. Now, what I need to do, I have to do row by column, row by column, row by column, and row by column. So I've got to do 4 sets there. I'm starting with the top row. So when I'm using the top row, I know that my solution is going to be somewhere in the top of the solution matrix. I am doing the left-hand column. I'm going to multiply by the left-hand column. So that means I know that my first set of multiplications is going to be for the value in the top left of my solution. Let's do it. I say 1 times negative 2 plus 8 times 2. I want to do this one over here. So I want to do the top right. So if it's the top right, it must mean that I am going to be multiplying the top row by the right column. So 1 times 1 plus 8 times 3. That goes over there in the top right. Let's move to the bottom left. If I'm doing the bottom left, I'm going to have to use the bottom row to multiply by. And I'm going to have to multiply that by the left column. 3 times negative 2 plus 3 times 2. And finally, for my integer in the right bottom, or the bottom right, I need to multiply the bottom row times the right column. So 3 times 1 plus 3 times 3. And there it is. When I do those multiplications and additions, I end up with 14, 25, 0 and 12. Check that out and you'll see how it works. Let's now look at how to multiply matrices using CAS. It's really important that everything you do by hand you can also do using your CAS. This is the screen you have when you turn on your calculator. We want to go to the main menu, or the main page there. So I click using my stylus on main. That takes me into the main page where I want to open up my keyboard. I use my stylus to click the keyboard button and I open up the keyboard there. I can then type in using my keyboard. I go into 2D. So 2D is shown there, and you can see within the 2D menu we also can open the calc menu. Let's go from there. So now that we're in 2D and in the calc menu, once you click calc, you'll see that a little arrow appears in the place where the calc was. If you want to get out of that screen, you just have to click that arrow. Let's click on this button here. That is a matrix here. That's a 2 by 2 matrix. And what's interesting is that if you click on this one there, that means you are going to extend the number of columns in your matrix. So if I click on it once, I'm going to have a matrix which has 2 rows and 3 columns. So a 2 by 3 matrix there. If I click on it another time, it's going to add another column in. When I click on the one over here, it adds a box in the vertical direction, meaning that I'm increasing the number of rows. I can then type in a particular matrix. So in this example here, I've typed in a matrix 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4, 1, 0, 0, 2, 3. To get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I click the 2 by 2 matrix key, and then I'm going to add in an extra column there. I do the same thing for the second matrix, except this time I click the vertical one, so I'm adding in extra rows. When I press EXE, it gives me the solution of 11, 18, 26, 33. What that means is that the first matrix 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the second matrix 4, 1, 0, 0, 2, 3 equals 11, 18, 26, 33. You should try that by hand as well to see that you can do that. Don't forget that when a matrix is used for more than one question, you should store it in your CAS. We'll go through that in another shoot. Don't forget to come back tomorrow and do the lesson on inverse, identities and determinants. That's all for now.